everyone. I'm Gary Null. Once again, I'd like to invite you to view and see if it makes sense what I'm about to share. It's part of our Classroom on the Air. I take a whole spectrum of subjects, psychological subjects, behavioral, exercise, a full spectrum of what we can do to enhance our happiness and our longevity. And today, our topic is the Gary Null Protocol. Now, I have hundreds of protocols, and each one is unique to the individual I'm working with. I don't give the same protocol to two people. In fact, I have to know a lot about a person, about their background. Someone comes to see me and they may be obese. Well, how did they get obese? Was it something genetic? Was it something environmental? Do they have a metabolic disorder, an underactive thyroid? There's a lot of different causes for different conditions, and to help a person, you have to know the progenitor. What was the one element more than anything else that caused an imbalance? Because what is disease? It's an imbalance of wellness. Now, wellness is not health on one side and disease on the other. No, balance is health as it is and ideal health as it should be. Otherwise, you're always maladapting. Well, I'm hungry, I want some French fries, right? Well, I don't want just French fries, I want French fries with salt on it. Well, that's a lot of salt because I'm also having salt on my hamburger. But what do I care? Well, you may not care at the emotional level, but your kidneys are going to care, your heart's going to care, and your blood pressure is going to go up. And that means you're putting yourself at risk of having a heart attack. So taking the time, which might take 2 or 3 hours, to find out what is important beyond the symptoms of a person. Is it something emotional? Are they overeating or eating the wrong foods? For what reason? People are smart in everything else they do that succeeds in life. So how can you have someone who's mastered being, a great mechanic on a car? They can put an engine together blindfolded, or they can create a computer system, or they know everything about cardiology because they're board-certified cardiologists, and yet they're making all these other stupid choices in life. How is it that smart people make stupid choices, good people make bad choices? Because in the moment they're making those, they're neither smart nor good. They're stupid and bad. This duality, it's always this battle between what I should do and what I end up doing. And on a gradient scale, here everything begins at 0, and then you go up, you master something, and sooner or later you come back down again. Just like life. You're changing your diapers of your baby over here when you just get married and have children, and then they're changing your diapers at the end of life if you live that long and you have conditions. That's part of the reality we have to face. So what I'm going to share with you now is a overall of a protocol that is just a health protocol. Something that would help anyone hopefully be able to maintain relatively excellent health. And I realize not everyone who's watching this today on YouTube or Odysee, Rumble, knows my background. I graduated originally in business because I knew that no matter what else I wanted to do in life, if I had a good business background, I would probably make better decisions. And so I graduated, got that. But then when I was in New York and I was asked to write a book about health, and I was unprepared. I didn't know about health the way I wanted to. I was healthy. I was a vegetarian, not a vegan. I exercised. I didn't smoke or drink or take drugs. Tried to keep myself conscious of my body. After all, who doesn't want to be conscious of how you feel? Because when you're healthy, you feel better. So I went back to dietetic school, became a registered dietitian. And then I started studying clinical nutrition, got my undergraduate degree, bachelor in science, then went on, got my PhD with honors, and did my postdoctoral work as a fellow and under a research fellowship at the Institute of Applied Biology and then went on to become a senior research fellow and did over 160 original experiments that were successfully done, over 60 clinical studies, and I've counseled tens of thousands of people. Never charged a penny, by the way. I could charge whatever the market bears. I chose not to. My mother said, "You have a gift, share it." So I earned my income through speeches and books and writing for major publications. But my advice I give freely. So that's just a little background on who I am. I didn't fall off the back of a cabbage truck one day and end up deciding what people should eat. So here's what I'd like to share with you. The average person's diet is not healthy. In fact, almost everything in the diet contributes to imbalancing the body's biochemistry, prematurely aging the DNA, assaulting all of your neurons in your brain, laying down amyloid beta plaque, which can contribute to dementia and Alzheimer's and other neurodegenerative diseases. And so that's when we have too much protein, too much refined sugar, and gluten. Most Americans are also dangerously deficient in fiber and essential nutrients like vitamin C and D3 and magnesium and selenium and zinc. However, it wasn't until I began to do practical clinical nutritional studies that I began to see that, wow, people exercise and think that's all there is. That's one piece of a puzzle. I'm an athlete. I'm an athlete my entire adult life. I've competed at every level: world games, national championships, state championships, regional championships, over 500. I've won almost all since the last 32 years, both as a runner originally and then as a race walker. So I keep myself fit doing cross training. I'm never out of shape. And yet I train hard for what distance I'm going to run. If it's an ultramarathon or a marathon or triathlon, that's a special type of training. If it's just to keep myself in shape, I'm still doing at least 20,000 steps per day. Resistant exercise to keep my muscles strong and my skeletal system strong, because remember, when you're walking, power walking, every time your foot comes down, especially if you're going up a hill, you're putting minerals like calcium, magnesium into your bones. If you sit too long, that's not good, and that causes weak muscles and the accumulation of fat. And also you want your lungs healthy. So, however, it wasn't until I'd been practicing clinical nutrition for a short time that I observed the cause and effect of a substandard diet in a meaningful diagnostic way, and how it's a leading contributor to multiple common diseases. Today, for example, and I say that because a lot of the people I was running with were top runners, but they didn't eat right, they didn't take supplements, they didn't deal with stress. But look, Gary, I can do a marathon, and I was running with, at one time, Jim Fix, Olympian, and yet he dropped out of a heart attack. Didn't have a healthy diet. Nice guy. But when I say that don't take one piece of a puzzle and make it your whole life, that's what I call the isms. We have to live by more than an ism. We have to live with all the complexities of life in addition and be open. The hardest thing to surrender in life, the one that really is challenging, is knowledge. Because once we've mastered a body of knowledge, like a doctor or nurse or a philosopher, school teacher, or professor, we think that that's the only truth that is needed in order to succeed. Now, maybe you have succeeded, but have you succeeded without looking at other truths? Do you have a unique individual truth? It works for me, but is that also part of a larger universal truth? Because think of all the times in life over the 20th century that people thought they had the truth. The Nazis, Pol Pot, Stalin, Mao, Castro, they all had truths. They believed in them, and they got others to believe in them. 50 million people in Germany believed in that truth, but it was all wrong, and it was never allowed to be challenged. And we should always be open to deconstruct. Now, I'll tell you a little side story. When I was working at the Institute of Applied Biology, and I worked up to becoming a senior research fellow and the director of the anti-aging division, I thought I had made an important discovery. The discovery had to do with proteins. We were told in all the textbooks, including the textbooks I learned from, Normal and Therapeutic Nutrition, by Robinson, good textbook, but it said that only animal proteins, your dairy, fish, pork, beef, veal, chicken, only those gave you the 8 essential amino acids your body cannot produce. You had to get them from exogenous or outside sources, and you had to have them 3 times a day. As a result, my mother, and I'm sure your mother, when they went shopping and bought the food for the family, they wanted to make sure they had the protein. But what I was finding in my research was that that wasn't true. None of it was true. Imagine. And in fact, when I did my paper, it took me almost a year, I found that plants, sunflower seeds, pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, brown rice, beans of every type, nuts and seeds, they all contain all 8 essential amino acids in different percentages. And by combining them together, what was weak with some amino acids here, lysine, for example, was strong over here. Methionine was weak and tryptophan was strong. So by combining foods as you normally do, you don't need just one food, you're getting all the amino acids you want. Now, protein is not stored in the body. So it has to break down what is called deaminization. And that causes urea, and that causes an increase in ammonium. And that's toxic. And that's why our kidneys, when we have high protein diets, are damaged, and liver damaged, and brain fog. So we're eating way too much protein. For example, how much protein do you actually need? What if I told you if you went into a restaurant, let's say you went into one of New York City's finest steak restaurants, you're going to get a big steak. I mean, a little steak is 12 ounces. You're going to get a big one, probably a 1 pound one. You may not eat it all, but that's the idea. Okay, what if I told you all the protein you needed is 1 bite, 1 forkful? That's it. That gives you all the protein you needed. And I've done the math on it. And we're just overeating. And it's a whole national phenomena. And because all the big money that's in the field, nobody's going to challenge it because of the advertising. So what I did is I took this study. It was called the Egg Project. It was called the Egg Project because the highest quality of protein and the most protein used from a product in our body, net protein utilization, net, the actual amount of protein that is utilized by the body was the egg. And I exceeded that by almost 1%. So I had, in effect, I should have had a whole new scientific discovery that literally revolutionized all of health and nutrition. So I took it in. There was a meeting with all the different department heads once a month. And so I made my presentation. And all these people were sitting around there listening to me. And now these were just regular scientists working in chemotherapy. And I was upstairs on the 3rd floor working on nutrition. And they smoked and they drank. They were brilliant minds, mind you. But they were all, looking for the golden ring, the Nobel Prize for discovering some new drug for pain, etc. And the thought that you could make people healthy with a diet, they didn't believe any of this. And so the director of the Institute said this, okay, Gary, you've given us a body of knowledge. Now, disprove yourself. I said, what do you mean? Okay, you've told us what you believe is true. Now show us that what you believe is wrong. I thought, whoa, okay. So I went back upstairs, I redid everything, and I was right. So I then gave it to Dr. Berman. Dr. Berman, I made a mistake here. Could you find the mistake I made? And after 2 weeks, he said, there's no mistake here. Then I gave it to Leonard Fiske and Mount Sinai, and he couldn't find a mistake. So I spent almost 4 months deconstructing my own arguments, being objective about it, having no ego attachment to it. If I was wrong, I'm going to acknowledge I was wrong. But how was I wrong? And I couldn't find it. So then I went back and I said, sir, I've invited multiple people, scientists in biochemistry, and nutritional biochemistry, and all of them have said that there's no error here. He said, good. Then you have something. But he said, remember this, Gary, apply this to everything else in your life. Okay? So you think you're in the right relationship. Maybe you are. How do you know? How do you know you're just not maladapting to someone until one day you've both adapted to each other's idiosyncratic behaviors and oddities, and maybe one person is willing to talk about things, another person's not willing to talk about something, and someone likes this, doesn't like that. At least you're separating out what might cause conflict by not dealing with it. But what happens if you ask yourself, what if I was with someone where I didn't have to maladapt in order not to cause an argument, where there was simply no argument? There are people who agree, they have share similar views, and you grow from there, sharing the best of yourself. He said, I'll never forget this. He was a very wise man. And he said, with everything you do in life, there's a duality. And that duality is your conditioned self, what everyone told you was right, your parents, grandparents, your religion, your culture, your education, and that's what you believe in. And then there's the truth. So I'm just saying that why not take some time alone and just take some of your beliefs. Now, maybe those beliefs will withstand deconstruction, a challenge. Maybe they're good beliefs and you keep them. But how do you know? How do you know until you challenge them? And we don't do that. And therefore we have all these tribes in America now. We've been balkanized by the body politic. Everyone's fighting one another instead of looking, what do we have in common? What are the myths we're living by? Why can't we live together? We're meant to live together. We're meant to cooperate. We're meant to respect each other. We're meant to live in peace, not war. Why can't we? And if you don't take that deep dive into that rabbit hole, you're never going to find it. I do that with everything I do. In fact, every article I've written, it's almost 1,000. I make sure that an outside person, not a friend, reviews it to see, have I made errors? And if they can show me I have, I'm going to change it. I produce documentaries. And my latest documentaries did very well. We just won 3 awards for 3 separate films at the Houston International Film Festival. I think it's 56 years they've been having this, one of the most prestigious independent film festivals in the world, if not the most. But before I submitted any of those films, I had people, sometimes as many as 10, I give it to them, I say, show me I'm wrong, be specific, and they'll look at it, and they'll say, Gary, this and this, and I'll go back, and maybe I've made an error, in which case I'll correct it. I don't attach the ego to this stuff. I want to be accurate. But what if everyone did the same thing? What if every politician, before they voted on something, got outside opinions to see if they're accurate or not? What if before going to one doctor, you went to 5 doctors to get different opinions, including alternative doctors? I think we'd be better off. In any case, I do that with everything, and therefore I ask, what is the worst can happen if I eat this food, drink these beverages, sugar-coated or foods like donuts, or fried foods like French fries or pretzels, things that are brown, which are acrylamides, that are chemicals that can cause cancer and prematurely age your body. And what do people just get? I eat pretzels every day. You are aware that those pretzels break down the body and have acrylamides, which can cause cancer. No, I didn't know that. And the meat that you're eating, when it's cooked, the higher the temperature is cooked to kill the bacteria in the meat, to make it safe to eat, it's also creating heterocyclic amines. So now you got heterocyclic amines in the meat, and you got acrylamides in the bun. You got 2 cancer-causing agents, both of which will prematurely age your cells, create free radicals. But I like the way it tastes. I realize that. But also, since you've mastered your career, why don't you now master your health? And bring the same sense of acumen, common sense, and reason, and good science to your health choices as you do to your career choices. And do the same thing for your relationship. So you see, one principle, deconstruct, to see what's real. We have a hard time with that. But that's where the journey of a good protocol begins. Otherwise, I can give you the best protocol in the world and for just good health. And if you start to feel uncomfortable dealing with some of it, you're not going to do it. I'm going to leave that out, that out, that out. That's like saying life has 10,000 pieces to the puzzle, and you're willing to take one and say, this is my life. Well, then you got a person that's mastered their career and not their life, and not their health, and not their happiness. But I thought if I had a good career and was successful, everything else would fall into place. Just the opposite. So we're living just very superficial lives. We're not thinking deeply. So I want to make sure that before you do something, do it for the right reason. Do it because you want to live a more authentic, honest, and healthy and happy life. So in any case, so now we get to the next part of this, where I'm asking people to take some time and think about what you're putting into your body. For example, only put in scientifically supported literature from the Library of Medicine. That means the highest repository of information on nutrients is the government's own. For example, look for vitamin D3 and vitamin C and calcium, magnesium, and quercetin. That's a general template for natural, healthy protocols to maintain. But if you wish to strengthen your immune system, you want to look at astragalus, lysine, amla, AMLA, green tea, olive leaf extract, olives, echinacea, mushrooms of all types like chaga, CHAGA, and probiotics, about 1 billion in the daily formulas you're going to take. Make sure that you're exercising every day. Start off with whatever you can do. Make sure you take your pulse beforehand. If you have a history of high blood pressure or anything that might prevent you from exercising, make sure you get your cardiologist to sign off on that it's okay to do exercise, and then gradually build up. Like start with whatever you can do and then write it down. Now I have a little gauge that I use here, and this gauge goes on my hip, and it measures every stride. So I try to get in at least 15,000 to 20,000 steps a day. But maybe you can start and get in 2,000 steps. Then keep a little diary, and every day add more steps. Try to add about 500 to 1,000 steps a day till you're up around 15 to 20,000. You don't have to go beyond that, but at least you're there, and that's doing a lot of good, helping your metabolism, creating endorphins in the brain so you feel good, you're less stressed, and you're tightening your muscles, burning fat, especially your belly fat, the body mass index. Get it down into the teens, 15, 12, 13, 17. Okay? So exercise and stress management, both of those are extremely important. Do mindful meditation. Sit for 20 minutes to an hour in nature, around water, trees, a lake, a river, a brook, the ocean, a forest, because that's green time. And all the scientific studies shows the more green time we have, the better it is for us. And then plan your healthy meals and have modified fasting, meaning the last meal in the evening, let's say you finish at 7 o'clock, don't eat anything until 7 o'clock in the morning. Have at least 12 hours of fasting, ideally 15 hours. Eat primarily during the day. Stop with the late night eating and no snacks. Begin the day with a light breakfast, ideally a liquid breakfast such as smoothies made with fresh produce and fruits, a packet of berries, throw it in, different types each day, and get a tablespoon of coconut oil and flaxseed oil, put it in there so you get your essential fatty acids, your omega-3s, 6, 9s, and 12s. And your main meal, which should be your largest meal of the day, should be between maybe 1 and 3 o'clock. And then just a small meal, like a soup or a light pasta, something light, a salad for dinner. And also, always adopt what I call living foods diet, meaning nothing's been deep fried, nothing is overly crisp, lots of raw foods. and olives, the essentials in your diet. And then go for a walk. Not a fast walk, just a nice walk for a half hour. That speeds up the digestion, gets the food through the intestine, and keeps your blood sugar in normal range. Really increase your servings of fruits and vegetables, the pulses and beans, the whole grains, the cruciferous and root vegetables, nuts and seeds. And it's important to consume the necessary calories you'll need for energy and to maintain internal metabolic function with approximately 30 to 40 grams of high-quality soluble fibers per day. And include in your daily meals 1 serving of fresh sprouts, sunflower sprouts, alfalfa sprouts, mung bean sprouts, and microgreens, and 2 servings of cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, asparagus, dandelion greens, kale, and 1 serving of sea vegetables like wakame, hajiki, and then juicing. That's a very important part of a protocol for health. During the course of the day, have 3 10-ounce glasses of fresh vegetable juice and 1 10-ounce glass of fresh fruit juice. Like a good fruit juice would be fresh oranges and grapefruits together with lime. A great vegetable juice would be ginger, garlic, celery, cucumber, and green apple. That's good. And then take appropriate supplements. Don't take a lot, and take what the body needs. And during the past 20 years, besides the normal required daily vitamin and mineral supplements, nutrition science has discovered remarkable supplements. These additional functional nutraceuticals further protect the body's biochemistry, sustain metabolism, increase immunity, and ward off infections and disease. Very important to include the mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms, maitake mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, king mushrooms. There's all types. They're very good for you. They really are great for your strengthening your immune system, fighting inflammation and disease like cancer. And then your most important nutrients are vitamin E, your tocopherol and tocotrienols, vitamin D3, vitamin C, your minerals like magnesium, selenium, and zinc, the omega-3 fatty acids, resveratrol, quercetin, coenzyme Q10, NAD, PQQ, and probiotics. And finally, always read the label on any supplements and take accordingly, because they may have binders and excipients and fillers that you may be allergic to, like dairy. Additionally, there's the elimination diet. This is where you begin the detoxification. So in addition to the do's, there's also the don'ts. Simply eating was maximizing health while continuing to consume what is contrary to health is a self-defeating exercise. So you can't have some good foods and some bad foods. Oh, Gary, I can continue smoking because I take some vitamin C. No, it doesn't work that way. No, I drink socially. I don't get drunk, but I drink socially and I take a B complex. It doesn't work that way. You could take all the B complex in the world. It's not going to save the 1 million brain cells, liver cells, kidney cells, and heart cells you just destroyed with 1 glass of high alcohol, like vodka or gin or bourbon. So therefore, it is necessary to get into a regular habit of avoiding foods and products that contribute to disease and illness. So, what would be on my elimination list? All meats, including beef, poultry, and shellfish. Replace with nuts, nut butters, seeds, soybeans, and soy products, and quinoa, a high-protein grain, and a mix of beans and grains like brown rice, kamut, buckwheat, millet, and amaranth. Eliminate all dairy. This includes milk, yogurt, cheese, butter, ice cream, and cream sauces, and replace with rice milk, coconut milk, soy milk, and silken tofu, and oat milk. Do not contain any product that has casein, C-A-S-S-E-N-I. Eliminate caffeine and alcohol, including coffee, wine, and hard liquor. Replace with herbal teas and grain beverages and lemon water and black and green teas. Eliminate sugar and artificial sweeteners, including refined sugars, fructose, corn syrup. Replace with stevia root, raw honey, like manuka, crude molasses, brown rice syrup, and natural fruit sweeteners. You can also consume chromium piconolate, 200 micrograms. If you have a sugar craving, it helps eliminate. Eliminate carbonated and artificial drinks, including sodas and seltzers and commercial fruit juices, which are high in high fructose corn syrup. Replace with spring water, distilled water, filtered water, and fresh squeezed organic juices. Eliminate wheat and gluten foods. Replace with gluten-free flours, rice and millet, and coconut flours, and sprouted whole grain bread. Eliminate non-organic produce. Replace with organic produce, preferably locally grown at your farmer's market. Eliminate fried and processed foods. Replace with steamed, lightly sautéed, grilled, or lightly broiled foods. Cook food at low temperature and maximize the protection of enzymes and antioxidants and other nutrients. Only use healthy oils, like the essential oils, extra virgin olive oil, flaxseed oil, hemp oil, coconut oil, and hazelnut, macadamia, and walnut oils. Olive oil should only be used at low heat. Eliminate foods with high salt content. Replace with lemon and lime juice. Gives you the same flavor and mouthfeel, but without the sodium. The same is true for apple cider vinegar and low sodium tamari or low sodium miso paste. Eliminate chemicals. This includes food additives, preservatives, coloring agents, artificial flavors, monosodium glutamate, MSG, and nitrates. Now, if you can do this, this is an overall general healthy life approach. All right? Try it. Try if it's a little difficult for you, and it will be for some people, then simply try to eliminate one bad thing per week and replace it with one good thing. Okay? Hope you've enjoyed this. Please share it with other people. Word of mouth makes a difference, especially if it's something that can improve our quality of life and allow us to live a longer and healthier life. And that's what this whole Classroom on the Air is about. Have a nice day. And remember, every day you can go to PRN.Live. And if you can't listen live at noon, then go to PRN.Live, go to the archive, and download my programs. There's lots of them there. All right? Have a nice day.
Are you tired of closed-minded programming? Well, look no further than PRN.Live, the home for progressive voices.